Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell says Grenada is continuing negotiations with the United States over the potential acceptance of third country deportees despite initial refusal of the request. The Prime Minister explained that the Cabinet later approached the U.S. to explore whether an arrangement could be used to address labor shortages in Grenada.
We reviewed the matter as a Cabinet and formed the view that there may have been and there may be an opportunity for us to look at the program with a view to seeing whether or not we can address some of the labor challenges we have in Grenada. And so we have approached the U.S. and held discussions with them in that context. They've come back and in a sense we've engaged in a back and forth about the broad parameters under which we will continue those discussions. Their approach has been to say we want a non-binding memorandum of understanding to be signed first, which sort of says there's a basic framework in which both parties will consider whether they wish to then enter into an actual legal agreement to consider taking third country nationals.
The Prime Minister further explained that in the absence of a legally binding arrangement, Grenada cannot be forced to accept third country nationals. In either case, he stressed that persons with criminal records would not be accepted, but conceded that certain violations of U.S. immigration law might not be a red flag. The Prime Minister anticipates that U.S. officials will be understanding of Grenada's position.
If someone violates U.S. immigration law, for example, they entered illegally or they overstayed, that in a sense is a violation of their law. But we probably don't view that as, because that's really the issue, an immigration issue. We would not see that as something that is so unacceptable that we will not be prepared to take someone for that. So the key thing is we don't want, obviously, if we are going to take any transferees, persons with any criminal background. So that's sort of the broad parameters. I think the Americans would certainly appreciate that if we, given the challenges of our own society, given the fact that they've even put out travel level 2 advisory pertaining to American citizens here, that it would not be acceptable for us, obviously, to even consider taking persons who have a criminal record as third country nationals, even if we want them to work in Grenada.
Some OECS member states, such as St. Lucia, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Kitts and Nevis, have already entered Memoranda of Understanding with the U.S. Following a recent meeting in St. Lucia, the OECS agreed to establish a broad-based, high-level negotiating team to engage with the U.S. on critical regional matters. Acknowledging the potential impact on OECS countries, the Grenadian leader added that financial support for housing and clarity on quantities would be central to negotiations.
The thing for all of us would be that we would not be prepared to accept criminals. Second, obviously, us taking third country nationals will have significant impacts on our social, educational, health, economy, etc., even if we may see it as an opportunity to bolster the labor shortages we have in construction and agriculture, in particular in Grenada. But obviously we want our partners to obviously fund the cost associated with housing and those kinds of things. So we expect that we'll have significant discussions on that. The quantities, because obviously we're not being in a position to take large quantities, the duration, etc. So all of those are the things that we expect we would negotiate should we get to the point of deciding to look at a legally binding agreement.
He said the public would be informed if the government was satisfied with the talks and ready to consider a formal agreement.